Cannabis Culture News Live. Not the THC show is supposed to be here on Pot TV. I apologize. I've dropped a donation for the CSP, which is currently being raided, or Neil Magnuson is being arrested. I'm not entirely sure, but we will find out as time goes on.
What the fuck? How are you going to face your families? Seriously, is this why you became a police officer? To stop people from saving people from addiction and death? Like, seriously. Oh, for fuck's sake. For fuck's sake.
I just need to speak to the supervisor.
Yeah, you're protecting a criminal enterprise.
So you're forcing me off the road? Alright,
Stop obstruction.
Alright.
Okay, and it's mischief by blocking the roadway.
I'm not producing mischief right now. I'm asking to speak to a supervisor.
They almost killed me that day.
Yes, sir.
I thought that was a dark day for the VPD. Now they're killing the people in
Exactly.
That's a lot.
I'm not
Called mischief by blocking the roadway.
No, it's not. It is not. You are false in your understanding of the law, but I have your badge number and I know which one.
Oh, we got to do something about this.
I'll be suing you simply. Thank you.
Sorry.
I'll see you in court, sir.
This is just absolutely disgusting.
It's fucking terrible. You make me sick.
Not with the neighborhood. You're not protecting anybody but a bunch of rich people's money. That's all. And you're protecting people who are fucking providing death to people. What the fuck are you doing?
We're 2 years
What
away
the
from
fuck are you doing?
All you guys can do is
Oh
put
my
your
God.
fucking boots on the road.
I think all you guys need to say no, and if you don't, you deserve the lawsuit that we're going to be bringing against you. We are saving people's lives here, and you're preventing us from doing that. Read your criminal code. Find out about that, because that's all we're doing. And if you guys have an ounce of brain, you'll know that. That's what we've been doing for fucking 5 years, is saving people's lives, putting our lives on the line to do that. And you think it's okay to take our vehicle and stop us from doing that?
They don't care.
You guys are fucking criminals.
They don't care about the Chelsea Furmans of the world.
Oh my God, the VP are a bunch of fucking criminals.
The Supreme Court of Canada said every Canadian citizen deserves reasonable access to cannabis. And
Yeah, why don't you do something about protecting that? How about protecting reasonable access? Because it doesn't exist outside of this. Okay? You're not going to act on what the Supreme Court said? You don't think that's important to your job? Oh my God, you guys are fucking criminals. We will sue every one of you. Oh my God.
But that's why you're supervisor.
Oh my God.
Because they want you to be
Go tell your families what you did today, eh? Go brag to your families what you did today. Tell them at this moment there's people probably overdosing to death that wouldn't have done that if you didn't do your job today. Make sure you tell your families that. Fucking criminals. Murderers. Murderers. Murderers.
And have the intention of stealing.
Shame on all of you.
This is fucking wrong. You guys
Shame
know it.
on all of you.
You guys know it.
So what has happened here? Like what?
Well, for some reason, the VPD authorized these goons to come here and arrest us and charge us and steal our stuff. But mostly,
Even though you have a license pending with Health
we have
Canada?
a license application pending with Health Canada. We've been in communication with them in the last 2 weeks. This is all just a criminal act by a bunch of bullies that want people dead on the streets, that want the fentanyl dealers to get rich, and want those assholes that have taken over the cannabis industry to succeed in eliminating medical access to people. This is disgusting.
People pick on our women down there.
Yeah.
You know how much you like to do that.
Killed a guy the other night for no good reason. Could have used a stun gun. What the hell?
They pulled me over and gave me a ticket for rollerblading. I gotta go
We
to
don't care
provincial
about
court.
people down here. This is not what the government cares about.
I gotta go to
This
provincial
is where
court.
they send you to
On
die.
the 17th for rollerblading.
Where they kill you. Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. Disgraceful. No supervisor. Where's a supervisor?
It's not going to come down on you as much as it's going to come down on your children and mine as you rip society apart.
I need my medication.
Go for it, girl.
You guys should all quit. If you had an ounce of conscience, you'd all just quit your jobs today. Because this is the final straw, isn't it? How corrupt of a government do you guys want to work for? Gonna cash those paychecks covered in blood? Oh my God. Oh my God. I wanted to respect police. How can I respect police when they do this? This is disgusting.
They don't like it when you live stream them either. They'll arrest you within a day or two. At their
Yeah, I'm gonna call 911. There's murder going on here. Yeah, that's
These guys
I can't even fucking think. I was putting 911 into my phone. Murderers! Murderers! Corrupt fucking murderers!
Why don't you go look for missing and murdered women instead of picking on these guys? Is that too much work for you?
I'm not going anywhere.
Fucking
Murderers!
Represents genocide!
Murderers!
Hey! Murderers!
Fucking
Open your eyes! Open your eyes!
I will never!
Coming down on you!
Right here, right
Your
now!
eyes!
Bunch of murderers!
Here you are in the middle!
Why would you arrest one man?
Side for over a year and a half.
fucking dickheads,
Sorry,
man.
but I'm extremely upset. Come on. You're over right at Main Street, right by your police station, and your officers have just decided to murder a bunch of people down here.
Hey Jen, sorry to catch you at such a moment. Were you here when all this happened?
No, I was on our lunch run when this started. I got a call that it was happening though. I don't understand why they want people dead so badly. I don't understand.
The poison drug supply, they're going to be killed.
They just want everybody hooked on either pharmaceuticals or straight drugs. They don't want you getting off of it.
Our RV that's in parked in the same
Addiction is a big money fucking making industry.
And with a huge crowd of people standing around them telling them what they're doing is wrong, they still decided to take it away. And no supervisor on site.
Thank you for your comment.
I'm extremely upset.
Were you here when they arrived?
I wasn't here when they arrived. I was called and told that they were here. I showed up about 5 to 10 minutes after.
Were you here? Well, let me. Glenn Wells, live streaming. There he is. What happened?
Well, we were sitting inside, we're just getting ready to show, and somebody came in and said the police were here, and then Neil said get the live cameras going, and came in, and yeah, they were arresting Andrew and George. Right, and then Neil went up and told them who they were and what they were doing and how these people are killing people and we're saving lives. And they said at 2:36 that Neil was under arrest. And then they came back and they were told that they give them release orders, federal ones, and that nobody would be sent to jail today. And they took the ban. So lots of people are going to be dying today, and it's really sad that this is happening. Like right now, live. Like all these people around here are supporting them. Look at these people. All these people are angry. They're like so many people walked away today. There it is. It's gone. It's gone. A life-saving vehicle. This is crazy. It really is. So yeah, that's what happened basically. Then Neil was telling them what he does. He's got letters of support. He's got the city on his side, and they said they were the ones who sent them down. So,
yeah, license pending.
VPD. Yeah, this was not CSU. This was the Vancouver Police Department. And they are being arrested under the Cannabis Act, which is a federal law. And there is no supervisor here. So apparently that's not proper.
I would like someone to admit. I wonder who would give that
saying
order.
On my feed that there has to be a supervisor here when they issue a federal release order.
Oh, interesting.
Yes,
that makes sense.
Yeah, so that's
look into that.
Oh, we've got all these people here watching. And okay, maybe talk
And go around the truck and keep the people inside.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna have to start getting really intense. It's like a war now. Probably go back to 1960s tactics.
We're gonna shoot out.
Human shields and stuff like that.
Do you mind if I ask you? So, what happened in your record? You were in the building,
in the store, and Michael comes in. He says, "Oh, there's police out there." I said, "Oh yeah, what are they doing?" He goes, "Oh, I'm not sure." I said, "Well, it's nothing to do with us." He goes, "I don't know." So I went out and had a look, and a whole bunch of officers surrounding our vehicle, and yep, they're here for us. And somebody internally in the VPD ordered them to do this. They say that we were told 4 or 5 times to stop doing what we're doing, and that's complete bullshit. It was well over a year ago that I had a conversation with Candace Murphy of the VPD. She told me that we couldn't do what we were doing here. I said, we have to do what we're doing here. People are going to die if we don't, and that's where we left it. So here we are, I don't know how many months later, like that was November of last year, of 2 years ago actually. So, it's been that long. November, December, January, February, March, April, May. So 17 months later, now all of a sudden they're surrounding my vehicle and taking it away and condemning a bunch of these people to the poison drug supply. Like, what's with that? Why wouldn't they just call me and tell me? He says they told me 4 or 5 times to quit. They've not done that at all. So anyway, this is really horrible. I'm not sure what to do. I'm trying to gather my thoughts here a little bit about how we're going to continue to help people. But yeah, this is a really dark day for the VPD in Vancouver. There's some heads that need to roll. We're going to sue every one of those officers. I explained to every one of them that what they're doing was a criminal offense based on the criminal code. So they were warned, and they continued to do it. And we'll see where we go from here. But I guess our battle now is going to be in the courts. And in the meantime, people are going to die because of these actions by the VPD in the city of Vancouver.
All right. Well, thank you for your comment, Neil. I wish it was under better circumstances.
They take the van?
Thank you everybody for coming here. We'll see you off. Hello and welcome to the THC show. I'm sorry we're running a little bit late today. This is not your average day. This will not be your average show. The THC show is where we've been talking primarily about the search for actual legalization that would include low barrier access to cannabis. And we've been attempting to do that and get that to happen by providing low barrier access while applying to the federal government for licenses to be able to do that. That's something that we did over a year and a half ago. And we've been told by Health Canada just in the last couple of weeks, it's actually a little more than a couple of weeks ago, that we had 30 days to respond to them telling us that they were going to deny us our application. Well, it didn't take 30 days, and I don't know if Health Canada had anything to do with it or not, but this afternoon, just within an hour or so ago, the VPD swooped in on the Healing Wave CSP van, the RV, arrested and charged myself and 2 of the other people that were there. George and Andrew have both been arrested and charged. And they stole the RV, they towed it away. Despite our complaints that there was no warrant involved, there was no supervisor on site, there was no reason to do that, and that what they were doing was a criminal offense in that they were interfering with our years-long work in rescuing people from addiction. Not attempting to rescue people from death, but actually doing it and documenting it over the last 5 years. We have been very clear with the authorities all the way through that this project of ours has become so important and crucial to the people involved that to interfere with it, to prevent us from doing what we're doing, would definitely put people at risk of death. We have that in the form of letters. This one's from Dr. M.J. Malloy, UBC professor, one of the experts on opioid replacement. This is from the City Councillor Rebecca Bly, stating her support for our program and how we were helping and save people's lives. This one is from Professor Zachary Walsh, who is a professor and the foremost expert in opioid replacement, stating in his letter that there should be no interference in our efforts to do what we're doing here. In fact, we need to be supported, protected, and able to expand our operations. Yet the VPD officers on site would pay no attention to these letters, wanted nothing to do with what I had to say to them, were there doing their job like good little Nazis, and saying that they were there, ordered to be there by the VPD. It's been too short a time for me to figure out what the hell just happened here. I'm not sure why they would have raided us like this. We've been in that RV for over a year and a half, parked in exactly the same spot, with signs all over the RV, not trying to hide from anybody, making sure this neighborhood gets access to what is so crucial to save the lives of the people that are at risk of death, thanks to a tainted drug supply, but mostly thanks to them being addicted to those drugs and not being able to get off them. What we've been offering people for all this time with the CSP is a way out. We have 260 plus members that have found that way out, that came to us drug sick and desperate, and with the use of high dose edibles got through withdrawal, and for the years since then have been accessing cannabis through our program to stay off of the opioids and the other street drugs. They are now all panicked and horrified. There are hundreds of people right now that are figuring out that we've been raided, that we're not here now, and we don't know how to help people right now, and they're panicked and horrified, and who knows what they're going to do to deal with that, and deal with all the other underlying health issues that they all have. This was the risk. This is what we told the authorities over and over again. This is what I explained to the VPD today and in the days previous to this when I've had conversations with them. This is what City Council understood. This is the crux of it. We are saving people's lives. This is a public health emergency that's been going on for 6 years, killing our people at an unprecedented rate. And we've been answering that for 5 years, demonstrating on a daily basis for almost 2 years now here on this block, the efficacy and the safety of what we're doing. Handing out over 7 million milligrams of high-dose edibles during that time. Hundreds and hundreds of pounds of cannabis used in that process during that time. Without this raid, we were going to be talking today about Health Canada's decision to deny us our application. And how ludicrous and criminal that is. And that Health Canada's only concern is for the health and well-being of the bottom line financial situation of the government licensed stores and producers. That Health Canada does not seem to be the least bit concerned with the health and well-being of the people in this neighborhood and the people all across Canada in all demographics who are dying because of a poisoned drug supply and because of being addicted to opioids, all because of bad government drug policy and policy of the College of Physicians and Surgeons to go to opioids as their go-to for anybody that's suffering in any way, shape, or form. This has been perpetrated on the Canadian public by government policy, by the medical profession's policies, and now they have interfered with what we're doing in trying to correct that, and they have put the lives of hundreds and hundreds of people at risk. Every day here at the CSP Healing Wave van, we have 100 plus people show up, grateful to us, expressing their gratitude to us for being there, for helping them with what they're in need of, telling us how it got them a good night's sleep, how it's keeping them off those other drugs, how they're able to deal with pain, and over all these different things that it's helping them with. A steady stream of people every day thanking us from the bottom of their hearts. And all Health Canada is concerned about is whether or not we're getting our cannabis from them so that they can make their markup and taxes on it. That's all they're concerned about. They're not concerned about the people here because their other big concern with us is whether or not these people have the support of a doctor in deciding to use cannabis. We are talking about full-grown adults, consenting adults, who at this point in their life have chosen to use illegal hard drugs. They've gotten themselves addicted to those hard drugs, and every day they make the decision as consenting adults to go out and find the drugs that they need and use. We've provided a safe alternative to that. We've provided a safe supply of cannabis high-dose edibles that has the power to equal whatever it is they're using in the way of other hard drugs. And these are consenting adults that want to use cannabis. And the government says they're only going to allow them to access cannabis legally if they can get a doctor to approve that. What a ludicrous statement that is. The doctors, for the most part, the vast majority of them, don't support cannabis in the first place. Even mainstream people, ordinary people that have resources that these people don't have, that have wherewithal and abilities that these people that we're talking about don't have, even those people have a hell of a time getting a doctor to approve them. Most people tried and failed. Doctors don't even want to talk about cannabis, let alone give people some sort of a script to be able to get it. Cut them out of their bonuses for their luxury cruise ship tours to wherever it is they get to go because they sold enough pharmaceutical drugs. They want no part of it. So for the government to demand that these full-grown adults that are struggling and in desperate need out here need to somehow find a doctor to give them their approval before they can go and get some cannabis and use that instead of the drugs that are killing them, that is criminal to the highest degree. That is such an abuse of power by these corrupt, contempt public servants who have nothing but contempt for all of us in Canada here, for anybody that's not them, apparently. This couldn't be more wrong. This is a very dark day for the VPD, City of Vancouver, and the federal government in what they've just done here. I hope you're all as outraged as I am. I hope you're thinking right now, who can I call? Who can I write to? What can I do to help? And I hope you figure out some of that. I hope you get a hold of Health Canada, the federal health minister, the federal health critic, the newspapers, the magazines, the radio shows, everybody you can think of. I hope you get a hold of those people on our behalf and scream at the top of your lungs that what needs to happen is we need to be able to continue what we're doing here so these people don't die. So more people don't die. There's already way too many people dying at this point from this public health emergency. All across Canada, all across North America, around the globe, there's an alarming number of people dying because they're addicted to opioids and other hard drugs, and they can't get off them because withdrawal's too hard to go through, and the whole treatment regime is all corrupt anyway, and they don't even want people to get off them. They just want you to keep going through and going through. It's 4:19 already. It feels like I just started. I guess we're going to smoke a joint because, man, I need some balance in my life. But this is absolutely horrible and wrong and the opposite of what should have been happening. These police officers should have denied that particular task. They should have all quit their jobs by now. We've got all their badge numbers. They're all going to be sued. They're interfering with life-saving program that's been demonstrating the effectiveness for over 5 years. There is no argument about what we're doing is effective or not. Dr. Malloy's written all the papers necessary, and there's way more than that as well. All the evidence is on our side. As our lawyer, Dr. Conroy, told me the other day, as I gave him a couple more studies showing the effectiveness of cannabis replacement for opioids, he said that's not in dispute here. It's not in dispute with Health Canada as to whether or not cannabis actually works in saving people's lives and getting them through withdrawal and out of addiction. There's no dispute about that. The only dispute is whether or not the Trudeau cartel gets to be the one providing the cannabis or not. And if they don't get to be the ones, then the people can't have it. And if they are the ones, the people still can't have it. Because the Trudeau cartel doesn't allow for high-dose edibles. And that's the ticket, is high-dose edibles. Not to mention the Trudeau cartel also doesn't allow for anybody that's not rich to use cannabis on any sort of a regular or daily basis. Because they've kept the prices higher than what they were during Prohibition. Way the hell higher than they need to be. And excluded any farmer's ability to provide cannabis at a low price. Which I'm sure farmers would do, as we've talked about at length on this show. In any case, it is 4:20. And I'm going to bring Glenn in, and we're going to continue talking about this. And I don't know what else to do.
I'm not saying happy 420.
It is not a happy 420 right now.
It's just 420.
It's not a happy 420.
This is just 420, yeah. And I was here. I saw it all.
You got a video of it?
Got it all. I shared it on the wall there. The link's up there if anybody wants to see what happened.
You guys can watch it.
Yeah. Wow, and I was glad I was here early. You know, right? Because Neil would have missed it and stuff like that. So.
Glenn showed up 14 minutes early. I said, oh, you're early. Michael stepped out for just a moment, and then he came in and he said, "Oh, the police are out in the lane there."
Yeah.
I said, "Oh yeah, what are they doing?" He said, "I don't know." I said, "Yeah, but it's not to do with us, of course." He said, "I don't know." So I jumped up immediately and ran to the door just to see.
Yeah.
And there was the RV surrounded by cops. So I ran back in here. I said, "We need video cameras."
And there we go.
And here we go.
But now we get to go to court.
Now we get to go to court.
Now you can get an injunction to stop them from doing that, right?
That's what we'll go for right
That's
away.
what you're going to go for, right?
Yeah, that's
right?
what- that's the
Now
number one
allows
first
you
thing we're
do
gonna do.
what you're going to do until they get it all freaking worked out.
Yeah.
And I can't see a judge saying no to you saving lives. Like, I don't know. The judges have been seen to be in favor. Like there's something with Bonnie Henry that she gets to go to court too now. Or something they said. So yeah, I don't know. I'm glad it wasn't the CSU.
Sure.
Right, because now we get to go in front of a judge. Right? If it was the CSU, we would have been screwed.
That's true.
Right?
That's true. We were thinking strongly, not Mr. Conroy and I, because we hadn't actually talked much about it. I did suggest that just briefly in an email to him the other day. But I've been talking with other people about it, that an injunction would be a good idea prior to this happening, to prevent this from happening.
Yeah.
I'm happy we get to go to court on it,
Yes.
because I think that's the way we get to solve it.
Yeah.
But I'm horrified, Glenn.
Yeah.
I'm not okay about
too.
this at all.
Those people are
I'm
gonna-
horrified
yeah.
because right now there's people arriving there, seeing the RV gone, and panicking.
Yeah.
I'm going,
And
now
no-
what am I going to do?
And no blue door?
No blue door.
No.
All they got is tents that are on Hastings Street over there, and down the corner at the end down here,
fentanyl.
where you can go and buy fentanyl and crack and meth and other things like that. Those people are all good to go, apparently, but the VPD is going to send, 8 guys?
Yeah.
At least
There was
eight people, at least 3 vehicles, and arrest us and charge us and then steal the vehicle. All the while, there's quite a crowd of people that are shouting at them that what they're doing is wrong.
Yeah.
And I was telling them right off the bat, what you guys are doing is interfering with us saving lives, and we can prove that, and we have been proving that, and that's a criminal offense, and they don't care at all. We talked about how the Supreme Court had ruled that people deserve reasonable access to cannabis, which is not being provided through the non-medical government stores, and that's what we were providing here. Yet, no movement by the police to try to protect, what the Supreme Court said about that. So, the cartels' prongs or tentacles go very deep here.
And this is the second time BPD has done this.
Well, the first time they didn't do it on purpose. This time they were
okay.
sent here to do it.
Okay.
The first time it was just the anti-vending unit, and that's well over a year. In fact, that's 17 months ago that the anti-vending unit struggled or stumbled upon our RV.
Yeah.
It wasn't hard because I had a bunch of signs all over it, explaining what we were doing. And they decided to steal all of our cannabis that time.
Yeah.
And so that caused a big kerfuffle. The deputy chief, Steve Ray, got involved. He had Candace Murphy call me, the head of the VPD downtown cops. After a lengthy conversation, she told me that we would have to stop doing what we're doing. And I told her that we absolutely could not do that, and in all good conscience would not stop doing that.
And that was the last time
And
they said that.
that was 17 months ago. This cop today told me that on 4 or 5 occasions we've been told to stop doing what we're doing by them.
Yeah.
Well, that's complete bullshit.
Because if
so,
you were,
so what's happening there is that these officers, in questioning what their assignment is, are being told that they were told to stop 4 or 5 times, and what they're doing is against the Cannabis Act, and cannabis is available at other stores for people. So they got a briefing to try to convince them that we deserve to be busted and they should do their job today, and they got lied to in that process, because that's what this is all about, is corruption and lies and greed and violence against people. This is murder of people. Maybe even today, the 80 or so people that will now not be able to come and get what they were going to get from us, maybe one of those, maybe 2, 3, or 4 of those, who knows, are going to be so upset, so panicked, so distraught, so not knowing what to do about it, that when the guy in the tent they're walking past says, "Hey buddy, get some meth," or whatever else it is, that they're tempted to do it, and maybe they die tonight. This is why I'm horrified. I'm just horrified for the people that I've gotten to know so well here, that rely on us and thank us every day. And what are they going to do right now?
When I was live, people were asking if they had any RVs that they could send you right away. To park another one, right?
Yeah, well, that's what I told them we would do. That is what we should do.
Yeah.
But I think we're going to see if we can't get that injunction first, because that is something you can get pretty quickly. I've experienced that.
Yeah.
In the meantime, just between us, we are supplying John Murray's muffins to people that show up out there, and joints for people for free. And, they can't stop us from doing that.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that we're going to be doing that all day tomorrow as well. That we'll have somebody out there making sure that people get something that they need. And
Pat Warnicky says the first night they were shut down, they had people ODing.
yeah,
In Saskatchewan.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah,
I'm
the very first
just
night.
horrified right now.
Yeah. And there's more of that's going to be happening out here.
Oh man.
It's so bad. Yeah. But you're
I know.
gonna
Breathe
hand out-
deep.
Yeah. Yep. Deep breaths.
Breathe
You're
deep.
going to hand out edibles and joints to help those people get through, because their only choice is to go back on the drug that they wanted to get off. That's not a choice.
It's going to be very tempting for them.
Yeah.
When they can't find
It's
anything
sad.
else.
It really is.
It's
For
just
all
so
their
sad.
effort that they've been doing of coming down here and stuff.
I was having a half decent day before that.
It sounded like it, yeah.
I had called Sheila Malcolmson's office before that happened and asked to have a meeting with her. I wanted to discuss what Health Canada was intending to do with us here. I had written that quite long letter to the health critic, the conservative health critic. Now, I hadn't sent it.
No. We were confirming his name.
And we were thinking about whether we should send it or not. I mean, this is very strange territory for me to be appealing to a conservative minister for some help to do with us providing cannabis for people. If that's the case, that's the right thing to do and that might work, well then we've come a very long way. Or things have changed a whole lot for sure over the last little while. But I will tell you, I've liked more about what I've heard from the Conservatives over the last 6 months than I have from the Trudeau gang.
Robert says he'll
man,
bring you some cookies as soon as the oven's up working.
Yeah, we're going to need to help these people. We're going to have to set up our tent and start handing it out and, see what we can do from there.
Yeah, it's like you said, you just put a tent out there and we'll help them come in one by one.
They can't stop us from giving it away. That's not a crime,
Nope.
and we will continue to do that.
Set up a table and chairs. There you
Although
go.
we've been having these discussions as well. What are we able to have possession of in handing out to people? Because of what Health Canada is saying. That in Health Canada's terrible, stupid, corrupt, unjust letter to us, there was several different points in there that we were needing to comply with. I mean, a couple of them were game breakers right off the bat, or deal breakers right off the bat. One that we couldn't sell to anybody that wasn't approved by a doctor. Well, I just covered that a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
I mean, that's ludicrous to think that people need to be covered by or approved by a doctor to be able to consent to accessing cannabis high-dose edibles, when the government won't supply them to them.
Yeah.
That's just ludicrous.
The government's not asking people to go into their stores to be medical.
Well, they're not medical.
No, I know.
And they don't have high-dose edibles. And their prices are ridiculous. And the state of their cannabis is suspect with irradiation and all the fertilizers and pesticides they're allowed to use. The different recalls that have happened over the years of legalization where people have been injured because of, improper practices by government licensed growers. So there's no compelling evidence that says that a person should go to a government store to try to solve their needs for getting off of opioids or what they're using it for medicinally, because they state right there they're non-medical.
Yeah.
So don't bother trying that. So in other words, the people that need it medically, the people that would like to have a store to walk into to maybe get off the opioids they're addicted to, they don't get a store. They don't get that low barrier access to cannabis to help them do that, to protect the government stores, so that if you want cannabis, you can go buy it there. It's going to be, tens of thousands of dollars for a pound, depending on what you're buying. But I'm not going to get into all of that. But this is just.
This is
This show was repetitive. So I hope those of you who are watching and watched for a long time that you're enjoying the fact that at least I'm not repeating myself today like I have forever, saying, well, we're waiting for Health Canada, and they tell us they're working on it diligently. But we know, and this is what I've said for the last year and a half, that it's very clear to me, as I analyze things with the brain that I got, and that's all I can do, is, this is how I see it. It has been very clear to me that Health Canada was not even able to grant us the licenses that we're asking for.
Yeah.
That they've been made to make promises to very powerful people that they would not allow people to undersell the Trudeau cartel of non-medical. And so for the last year and a half since they've been working on it, what I've stated so many times on the show is, they're only working on how to say no.
Yep.
They're not working on how to say yes. They've never come to talk to me to say, how can we make this work?
Yeah.
What do we need to do to support you in what you're doing, because we know you're doing what needs to happen here. Nothing like that ever. They were consulting with other people. All of them that they were consulting were people that didn't want us to do this, and we're going to say, no, what? Selling good cannabis for $1 a gram to people? No. And of course the government wants no part of that, because they want their $1 excise tax on every gram that's grown anyway. So in other words, they want $448 on that pound of cannabis before it even gets to anybody else to do anything with, to get to a store, to eventually get to you. So that's why you're paying $10,000, $12,000 for that 1 pound of cannabis, if you could even buy a pound. But of course you can't. You only can buy it 30 grams at a time, because they don't want you to know what a pound would be worth. They don't want you to do that math and think about that, because every day you walk into the grocery store and you buy your pound of strawberries or cherries, and you're paying no more than $6.99 for any of that. And here at the government, you can walk into a government cannabis fruit store and buy yourself a pound of cannabis fruit.
Yeah.
Well, it's going to be $10,600.
Straight up.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
And you're going to be holding like the strawberries in this hand, and you're going to be holding like the cannabis in this hand. And you're going to go, well, I mean, I do like the cannabis more than the strawberries, but I don't think I like it 100 times more than I like the strawberries,
Yeah.
I mean, if you had a world where strawberries were going to be eliminated or cannabis was going to be eliminated, you wouldn't be happy with either of those.
No, I wouldn't be happy with either one.
Nobody would be happy with, maybe alcohol purveyors and the purveyors of other things not cannabis might be happy with that arrangement if cannabis wasn't even available. They did their very best to make that the case, eh?
Yep.
They did their very best. They did everything they could with all of their money and all of their leverage and all of their brains. They did everything they could. Mm-hmm. They first off told the biggest lies they could tell about it, right?
Yeah.
They said,
that's bad for you.
It's going to kill you.
Yeah, it's going to make you crazy.
You're going to get addicted.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to go violent.
Yeah.
You'll be insane.
Yeah.
You will murder people. You will be severely injured in the chaotic weekend that you engage in, and you won't even know you're hurt.
Yeah.
All these lies that they told about cannabis, and they tried their hardest. When I say they, I'm talking about a large group, some connected, some independent, but all of them with the similar interests in mind, and that was to profit and capitalize on no cannabis in the world. Mm-hmm. That they had other products that they could patent. They couldn't compete with something that anybody could grow, easy to process, gives up its cannabinoids easily. They couldn't compete with that. They had products that they wanted to be able to patent. Those people had an interest in annihilating cannabis.
Yeah.
But for everybody else, cannabis was a positive thing. It had been part of the pharmacopoeia for a long, long time. Every hobby farm was growing it. There were huge plantations of it. I mean, hell, it was a mandatory crop for any of the settlers that got land from the federal government back in the early forming of the United States. That was part of the deal, is they had to grow cannabis if they were going to be given land, because cannabis was vital and important for the economy of the land and survival for lots of things. So, this has come so far. They told those horrible lies about it for so long. They imprisoned people for
decades.
Oh
yeah.
Man,
Ruined people's lives.
Life sentences.
Yeah,
they
families.
imposed this around the world.
Yeah.
Death sentences in Indonesia and in numerous other places around the world where you could die, and all it would take to get a death sentence was like 50 grams.
Wow.
Less than 2 ounces.
Wow.
And you could get a death sentence.
And because America said it was bad, the world followed along.
Everybody wants to please America. They're the ones with the big bombs.
Fuck
And the big boobs.
Sorry, Andy.
So they did everything they could. They tried everything to make it impossible for people to get it, and yet still people would get it. It didn't matter what the penalties were. People would still go and break the law. People would still try to get it to other people. They put on whatever price they needed to. In fact, the higher the penalty, what meant the higher the price. So, gangs formed and all sorts of underground networks formed, and lots of people made lots of money, but all because the government, on behalf of all of these people that wanted to not have cannabis in the environment, did everything they could as best they could to annihilate the plant from the planet. Like you said, they had all these other countries on board with them doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And there's more we could talk about with that. Seriously, they tried to annihilate. They tried their very best with all that they had to annihilate this plant. They took it out of the pharmacopoeia. They took it out of encyclopedias. They made it hard to search as far as what the history of it was. But the history got out, you know.
And then people started getting sick, and more pharmaceuticals were bought, right? Because I believe the story is that before the 1940s, the cows would eat the plant in the field, and then we would take their milk, and we would get that endocannabinoid system active by just drinking their milk. And then
way more than that, right? Way more than that. All farmers were growing cannabis, no matter what else they had going on there. And if they had livestock, cannabis was the main staple food source for all livestock.
Okay, that's how.
They would make cannabis seed cakes, hemp seed cakes. Well, we call them hemp seed cakes now, but it wasn't hemp back then. It was just cannabis. Hemp is what we come to think of now, because in the 1940s, after trying so hard for over a decade to try to annihilate cannabis, the war happened.
Yeah.
And all the other things that cannabis was being used for, besides medicinally, like for clothing, was extremely important, especially to the U.S. Army and Navy, where they were using copious amounts of cannabis fabrics and textiles involved in what they were doing. And so
even wrote the Constitution on it.
And well, sure. I mean, it has a great history in the United States. And like I said, a mandatory crop. You know, in the early on. You know, George Washington grew cannabis. George Washington commented on how the Indian varieties of cannabis had such a higher medicinal value. I mean, they knew about these things. It was the second most medicine in the pharmacopoeia for a long time, up until late 1800s. So, you know, they did everything that they could to annihilate this plant. And well, here's John Conroy. So have a witness of my conversation with my lawyers after we've been raided. Hi, John. You're on the THC show. This is my show day. An hour before the show day, we got surrounded by the VPD. They said that it was orders from headquarters to come and shut us down like that. They arrested myself, George, and Andrew. Jen was away from the vehicle. Charged us, did not handcuff us, did not take us away and detain us. And to a large crowd of people swearing at them and yelling at them, they towed our vehicle away. Yeah. Orders from headquarters, that's what they told me. That's why I said, why would you guys... And there's no supervisor that I could talk to. They let me retrieve my framed letters from Dr. Malloy and Professor Walsh and from Rebecca Bly out of the RV to show them, but then they wouldn't look at it. And I said, I want a supervisor on site here before you take my vehicle away. And I want to talk to a supervisor about these letters and other things, and that we're a society. I told every officer, I said, we're here, we've demonstrated for 5 years that we are saving people's lives. What you're doing is a crime. By interfering with us, we will sue you, you know. Sorry, John. Paper with respect to no, the patient outcome or the patient selections, they would have just had the current book that they've taken away. We have several other volumes of books that have all of that the clients have been accessing, and all of those papers that I told you about before, the hundreds of sheets that we had people fill out every time they came and got with answers to 4 or 5 questions, we have all of that right here. I still have the letters actually. They didn't take it, and they let me take those framed letters out of the RV to show them, and then they wouldn't let me show them, and then they towed the RV away, so I have those letters too. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I'm looking at them right now. Well, we stopped doing it when we moved into the RV because we, you know, it was a... Well, there's 2 different things that we have. One was the patient outcome reports that we got when we had the store, and the other is where we track everything that every client takes. When they get their 420 milligrams free, when they choose what they want of that, we track all of that. Yeah, just tracking for each individual so we can see what their preferences are and overall. Yep, it's all done by number, and we have a name attached to each of those numbers. Yeah, some of the people that we deal with here have doctors that have approved them to use cannabis. I don't know. I mean, I think I know of 3 or 4 right off the top, and yes. You know one of them, Butch. You know, I'm just saying, you know. Yeah. Right. Okay. So.
We have at least a diagnosis of an addiction.
Right.
And so that we have some medically approved, and we can show that steps are being taken to have each one of them assessed for medical approval.
Yeah, I don't think that the approvals that they have are for addiction.
Well, okay, well, I'd like to see, we need to see that. We need to see that they're approved for addiction. If they're approved for addiction, will the doctor recommend cannabis?
Right, yeah, no, I think they're just approved for like other medical conditions that they got approval for. I'll survey them as quick as I can. I'll get that to you.
Okay, but see, the point from those emails I sent you is this. We need to show them that we're trying. That on the issue of medical approval, here's the names of everybody, here's the type of situations, and here's, you know, some of them are approved as addicted, and if we've got any that are approved under whether it was MMAR or current, that's most important, because then they can at least grow or have somebody grow for them. Okay?
Yeah. We don't have contact.
It doesn't matter if it's 3 to 5 grams, because it can be largest plants, no limits on storage, and we'll be asking to be able to donate the excess. So as long as there's a legal product and it's coming from a legal source. Okay?
So this throws a huge wrench into that, John. The RV is gone now. I can't have people come into my shop here. We only have contact information for
I know, but the story, it's
but
a
we will.
story. In order, listen, it's a story in order to get them to extend the time.
Yes.
The police may have just given you grounds for an adjournment.
Right.
Because we can go to them now in Health Canada and say, holy shit, we were preparing a reply.
Yep.
And this is what happened.
Yeah, several people were going to bring us their affidavits. I've got several people that have told me, excuse me, we've got a couple of them, but there's a number of other people that were going to bring their affidavits to us here, and now we're not here. Although we're going to have somebody on the block handing out muffins and joints. And the other thing is, can we get an injunction against what they've done to continue?
You can't, because you're engaged in illegal activity, remember? You're not coming to court with clean hands, remember?
Well, that's what Majawa had to say. I'm not sure the next judge would say that.
It's a principle of law, man.
I guess,
It's a principle of law, especially when you're seeking injunctive relief.
And Majawa's is a precedent to boot, I guess.
Exactly. That strengthens the case even more.
Yeah.
You can't even think about going to court at this point because, as I indicated in the earlier materials that I sent you, we raised the defense of necessity. And that means that the evil you're committing, because you're admitting it's an evil in the sense that you're breaking the law, is a lesser evil than the greater evil of what happens if you didn't break the law to these people.
Right.
But to make that defense succeed, you have to show that you're exhausting all legal remedies, all possible reasonable legal remedies, that you're trying to do it. So
we have been.
You started doing it by gathering the information.
Oh no, I had a long chat with a couple different doctors.
You were trying to get some people approved, and you were talking to Don about growing, weren't you?
Yeah, we've got all that in place. The problem came when I tried to talk to doctors about it. They don't want to prescribe more than 5 grams a day, and these people are using so much more than that.
I know, but that's why I said to you, it doesn't matter. Get 5 grams a day. Each one of them can then have, at 5 grams a day, that's about 15 to 20 plants of any size, and no limits on storage. And you could give, critical to her letter, is you as an adult could give illicit cannabis to another adult, okay?
Right.
So if you can do that, then some of them who are impossible to get medically approved could at least be given something while assisting them.
Right.
You understand?
That's what we're doing now.
If you have somebody approved and we can show them it's in the works, and we'll now say, and now they've taken documents and stuff that we were putting together, so we need an adjournment for that reason alone. But at the same time, showing them that you're working on getting as many as possible medically approved, even if it's at low rates, and then that's going to create an illicit supply. And what I'm going to say to them, now we'll seek the adjournment because of the raid, but I was going to say to them, in the short term, can they authorize all of the LPs and medical growers and so on, federally and through their provincial contact, the dispensaries, give them permission to donate their stuff that they have to destroy to this and other nonprofit projects. If they'll authorize that, we can have an immediate source of donated legal supply that you can be giving away.
Yeah.
You don't even have to have them medically approved.
And I did talk to David about membership in the Craft Farmers Co-op there. He's coming to see me on Friday here, I believe.
Okay. Well, you say some of your growers are legal.
They are.
And some of them are probably members of the co-op. And so one has
I don't know about that.
What steps are they taking to become legal if they're not, or what are the hurdles that they're facing?
So
those that are legal, we need to, I'm sure they'll all agree that they're quite happy to donate their excess from time to time to the project, to the program.
And that's what we have been doing. Our main supplier of cannabis is a designated grower for 2 people, and he's been helping us for quite a while with the program here. So, he's already a designated grower, but he wouldn't be part of the farmers co-op, would he? Probably not.
He could be.
I see. Just as a designated grower, he can be?
But I mean, is he willing to see what type of a DG is he? Because the DGs under the MMAR were required to destroy their excess. And while many of them were donating to the Compassion Club and didn't think anybody would worry about that, I thought they implemented some sort of program where they have to sort of prove that you destroyed your product or something under the new regs. So
maybe. I don't know. I don't think he has any oversight like that going on.
Talk to your DG or have your DG call me so we can find out, are they in a position where they could start, legally donating, and we can say, look, we're getting a legal product.
Right. Okay.
So, there's 2 quick answers to Health Canada. One showing that we've got as much legal product, and here's a proposal for more legal product.
Right.
And remember that if you can get guys approved and then have a medical grower grow for them, you're going to get better supply, quality supply that has some control over. But to keep going, we just take whatever we can get.
Well, most of the people that are donating to the program are donating small amounts, and that's based on their own personal 4-plant grow. Some of those people have medical licenses to grow for themselves, so they can grow more plants than that. But a lot of our supply already is legal in that sense.
Okay, well, can we get the suppliers to say that? I mean, I think 4
I think
plants
so.
per household. Let me just think for a moment. 4 plants per household. I guess, they can give up to 30 grams away to another adult.
Well, they've been giving us baked goods that they made themselves out of what they grew themselves. So, it's...
as long as it's not more than 30 grams.
Well, it is in what comes to us. It's not in what we give out to the people necessarily, although sure it is. 30 grams.
They can easily just do it 5 minutes later.
Yeah, and then we hand it out, of course, in small amounts. I'm not sure what the conversion rate is with respect to milligrams into grams.
Well, that's easy to figure out.
Yeah, because if we're allowed to give out 30 grams...
Google that. You can even Google that.
All right, I'll Google that. Not right now because we're doing the show.
No, okay, but all I'm saying is, we're running out of time. We need to get that in particular. So
how do I get that to you, John? Should I drive it out to you?
Or scan it.
Oh, there's a lot to scan. I've got hundreds of those sheets.
Well,
I can drive it out to you.
Drive it out to me if you want.
I was going to the island on Thursday to get more product.
I'm going to put it in a scanner anyway in order to send stuff to Health Canada. But basically, what I think I want you in the short term is, have you and others describe just what happened, so that we've got a bunch of statements showing the police and what happened, okay?
All right.
So that I can put them in a form so that I can forward them to Health Canada. Right?
Okay, well, just describe it in an email?
Yeah, you can send it to me in an email.
Okay.
Yeah. Get them all to send me emails to the jconroy@johnconroy.com.
Okay.
And then have all of those who are donating, who are legal, who have a legal supply. In other words, they're simply growing their 4 plants, or maybe they've got a medical license.
Yeah, some of them do.
So the ones that are just doing it from 4 plants from legal supply, indicating that they're willing to donate 30 grams at a time to adult members of the program.
All right.
And then I can say to them, look, this is a legal supply. And that we've converted the previous supply to a legal supply for people growing 4 plants. And the ones who are medical, I'll have to look at so that we can make sure they get... So in their case, we may be saying to Health Canada, and these people are willing to donate their legal supply, excess legal supply, but I need your approval to do so, or they need your approval to do so. Yeah. So I'm saying to Health Canada, we can convert the illicit supply into licit supply. Here are the potential sources. Plus, if you let all of the stuff that gets destroyed be donated, there'll be an overwhelming amount of illicit supply.
Yeah.
Okay? So that's the supply part, but we also have to do the medical approval part. And so if we can at least show that we've got quite a few people who are diagnosed as addicted, we know we've given them all the stuff on how good it is for addiction, and we've got a doctor shortage crisis in the province for people generally, not just these guys or these people, and plus the reluctance on the part of many doctors because they don't understand cannabis. So, but at the same time, saying to Health Canada, we are trying to have every one of these people assessed and obtain a recommendation. So please continue to extend the time while we continue to do that. So we'll be showing them how things have changed while waiting for them. Things have changed considerably so that all we really need to do is try and get everybody approved, even for a small amount, or not even if they don't want to grow, or but at least they're medically assessed and approved as addicted and cannabis recommended. And so that they see that we've got the 2 major issues under control, plus we recognize that we can simply give it to those who are, just impossible to get assessed or whatever.
Right. I mean, all of this that we've been trying since we opened the store has been through the pandemic. It's been extremely difficult for people to see doctors or even get a doctor in many cases, like you just pointed out there as well. I don't know that we've got anybody that's been diagnosed as addicted and then, allowed to use cannabis, but we can certainly pursue that. Our time is short. That's the biggest thing.
Time is short, but maybe they've done you a favor by suddenly raiding and taking away the ban.
Right.
So that
and that's going to make it tough for us to get a hold of people too, and vice versa. We're going to do our best. We'll put a tent up there for tomorrow. We'll take names and numbers.
But if you need to, just go to you guys. Does Vandu have a scanner? Some of these scanners,
I don't know.
You just put it in like a photocopier, and they track them all out.
Okay, I'll ask. I was actually in touch with them today about this very thing. They were having a board meeting for us on Thursday. Well, not for us, but during their board meeting on Thursday, they're going to be discussing a letter of support to us. They'll already have it written up by the time they go to the board meeting.
Which board?
Vandu.
Oh, Vandu.
Yeah, I was supposed to go to that board meeting, and now maybe I can, because I was going to go away on Thursday. I had to go to the island. But maybe I'll go to that board meeting as well on Thursday. I'll check out tomorrow and see if they have a scanner.
We've got only the 22nd.
Which is, not even that, really, eh?
No, it's Friday of next week is our deadline.
Wow.
So, please don't go away. Get us the paperwork so I've got at least something to send in to them.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to come and see you, John. After the board meeting on Thursday, if it's okay with you, I'll drive out to your place and I'll drop the stuff off to you. And I'm going to see if Van Duke can scan it all for us, and maybe I don't need to do that. Sorry.
Okay.
But maybe I should come and see you anyway. We'll see. I have Thursday off apparently now.
The important thing is getting you and I can sit and chat and discuss the thing forever. More importantly is we got to get this evidence together that I can put in a package to send to Health Canada.
All right. I'll get on that right away tonight and get it together and see if I can't scan it to you.
Okay. Sounds good.
Thanks, John.
Okay, yeah.
Have a good day. Bye-bye. Well, I told you it was going to be a different show today than normal.
Yeah.
The thing is, we're trying to get Health Canada to give us these licenses or to allow us to do what we're doing here. What John's talking about there is what I talked about before, is that they want us to be using only cannabis that is from illicit supply. Thankfully, people with growing for plants and medical people growing can be part of that, so that's great.
Because the plant can be 20 feet tall.
The craft farmer people have already applied to Health Canada to be able to give their access to programs like ours. If Health Canada was working with us instead of trying to work against us, that's something that they could do. And if they made that choice, say, okay, well, a portion or maybe all, if they gave us all of the stuff that all of the LPs are destroying and all of the stuff that the dispensaries have to destroy, because once they have opened something as a sample, they then have to destroy that. And it actually works out to be quite a volume after a while in all these different dispensaries. We would need a pretty big warehouse to store all that stuff.
But that's all non-medical though, because it's irradiated and stuff, right? So how's it going to still help people? I like this idea.
I will tell you that some of my licensed producer people, friends, I have people work in the industry. Obviously, there's people from our culture that have gone over there. I'm told that not all of it's irradiated.
Okay.
That some of the people are pretty proud of what they're putting out there.
Yeah.
Even Carol at Weeds, now got a government license, checks everything.
Yeah.
Has to destroy those samples once she opens them to check them, mind you.
Yeah.
I'm sure she destroys them with fire slowly.
Yeah.
Not all of it, because some of it doesn't pass her inspection. I mean, she puts it under the microscope as others do. So I don't know about that, Glenn. If it's we would have to test it. That's what I'll tell you.
$15 a gram though.
Well, no, they're talking about having it donated to us.
Okay.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
So if they're able to donate the excess to us that they would otherwise destroy, and the dispensaries, the stuff that they've had to open and they would destroy, I would have to have that stuff tested before I would put it out to people.
You think that
we would do our own testing on that.
They're saying no. And you know what I'm saying? Like,
well,
okay,
no, because what you're saying is in Carol's case.
If they wouldn't sell it
in Carol's
store,
case,
why
the
would
stuff.
Want to consume
in Carol's case, the stuff that she wouldn't be destroying personally by herself, slowly, bit by bit, would be the stuff that she's rejecting. And then, do we really even want that? I don't know. What I do know is I don't want our RV taken away. I don't want our ability to help these people taken away. The government is powerful. They are corrupt, and if they want to get rid of us, they can. I swear to keep fighting. I'll tell you. I mean, we're going to set up a tent. We're going to give it away until we can't anymore. We're going to do whatever we can, and I'm going to keep fighting for low barrier access. This fight is not over by any means. Dirty, unclean hands or not, we're going to the courts. I'm sure of it. Yeah. And so. We'll keep fighting for low barrier access, but I want to get low barrier access. I want to get that license with a signature on it and be able to do this. So we're going to explain to them that we've been trying for 2 years to get doctors on board with us. Now, John is saying that we should have accepted the doctors that'll only go for 5 grams. So, yes, I will call that doctor back that told me that, and I will contact those other ones, and we'll do what we can to get people,
I think there's a limit, though, how many licenses you can have in one address.
There are.
So how is that going to be beneficial?
We do have a few different addresses.
One address.
John's not talking about having a small amount grown for each of our clients.
Yeah.
He's talking about getting some of our clients the ability to have cannabis grown for them.
Yeah.
And then because there's no limit on sizes or storage amounts, and you know, you keep growing 4 plants over and over again, you can get 3 crops per year.
Yeah.
Well, it depends. If you're growing a really big plant, it takes a lot more time for veg, and you're not going to get 3 crops per year, but you're going to get maybe 3 pounds per plant if you're really
Which
good.
will do you for that
if you're
year.
really good,
Yeah.
you might get 3 pounds per
We know
plant.
lots of good
It
people.
can be done.
It can be done. Right?
So if you got 12 pounds out of 4 plants,
Per address.
you know, per address,
That's not so bad.
you know, it's doable, but it's flipping wrong.
Yeah, now you got to pay
You know?
for fertilizer, hydro, right? What about those, right?
Well, those are things you
about
have to pay for.
People for the growing, right?
Yeah, well, in
People
our
for
case,
the
we've got
trimming.
greenhouses available to us, so that it's a hybrid situation that isn't as costly as growing indoors. The sun provides most of the
energy there?
the cost savings,
Okay.
you know, because you're not using the indoor lights and the government electricity.
I wonder
But,
if there's a solar power company out there who would like to donate some panels and provide you energy for that greenhouse, you know?
There's ways to do this, but there's no reasons to do it.
No.
You know, that's the thing. They're forcing us to do these things because they want to make it hard on us to be able to do it. They want to make it impossible for us to do it. We're going to keep trying to, you know, work within what they give us to make it possible as best we can. But in the meantime, people are suffering.
Yeah.
In the meantime, this is delaying what should have been happening a long time ago, which is low barrier access stores all across the country in all the neighborhoods that need it. That's what's being delayed here by all of this, by Health Canada's negligence in not getting us licenses a long time ago. We wouldn't have been raided today if that had happened. We wouldn't have been evicted if they had done it in a timely manner.
Yeah.
All of these things that have set us back have killed people. And all of those setbacks are caused by Health Canada's negligence or criminal malfeasance, you know, might be a better way to describe what's going on here. You know, John says, don't bite the hand that you're trying to get to feed you. You know,
They just bit us.
I'm just trying to tell the truth here, and you know, we're the ones who are really having our hands bitten. You know, we got our hands out for, you know, begging for permission, and we're getting our hands slapped all the time. You're told our hands are unclean because without permission we decided to do it anyway because people are dying. It's a public health emergency.
Takes them too long.
We had an answer for that. I knew that would work because of my previous experience, that we could help these people with high-dose edibles. And so, you know, we just did it the right thing. But, oh man, it's a very frustrating journey here that we're on. Yeah.
It's sad.
It's sad.
It's sad. But you'll be here tomorrow, and you'll be heading out.
We'll put out a tent tomorrow. We will, or put up our tent tomorrow. We'll put out a table. We're going to have muffins and joints for people. We're going to take people's phone numbers and get a hold of them and see who can write us letters of support. We'll probably have maybe a petition on the table. We'll have that done by tomorrow so that we can get people to sign that. And we'll probably have a chair and table set up for people to right then and there, sit and write us a letter out.
Or maybe
get
just get them like a letter and get them just to sign it.
I've got some of those. I've got a couple of templates.
Because that would be a lot easier for them.
But you know, it's so much more powerful if it's a personal letter from the heart.
Okay.
If they keep getting the same letter over and over again that people are just signing, it loses a lot of its power.
So give them a section to write their own thing.
We'll give them what I was doing, and what I was on my way out to do before that. I wanted to do it before the show. Was put up those sample letters that I got made up and have them posted there with a thing saying, you know, here's an idea. So we will give people, you know, ideas of how they might phrase what it is they're feeling.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know.
Well, I would just that survey about lounges. It also gave you that little box where you could say some other stuff if you wanted to, right?
Yeah.
So, and one of the things was, why should we have lounges? And I said, because a lot of landlords don't allow people to be able to use medicines. So these lounges should be open to everybody, not just government stores. Tourists, everything.
Most hotels won't allow people to use cannabis there. So yeah, there's a lot of reason for lounges. But they're not even talking. It's so stupid, Glenn.
It is.
The debate on lounges is not about smoking or vaping. That's off the table. They're not allowing that, period. No. It's about edibles.
Oh.
Well, since when can't you consume a fucking edible and go to a lounge anyway?
Yeah, you just consume it in your car and walk in the bar.
Of course, getting the edible is a little harder if you can't grow your own and you don't have a source. And so that's also part of the discussion, is allowing these places to provide edibles for their consumption lounge. So they're talking about restaurants, and it could be mixed into food and prepared in all these different types of ways for people. That's all part of the discussion.
That's the lounges thing.
Yeah, that's the lounges thing. They're thinking about allowing these lounges to be providing
no
cannabis,
yeah,
but no smoking and no vaping, because full-grown consenting adults cannot be sitting around smoke even if they want to. The government says so.
The government says
because
so.
the government says so.
Smoking is smoking. We used to smoke in the bars in the 70s, but now we're just total against.
If I was 8 years old. I was 8 years old, and I was sitting out in the back field there, and I decided to pick some little dried up plant, put it in my mouth, and light it on fire. My mom saw that; she'd be all over it. Don't you do that? Boy, I probably would have got the wooden spoon or something like that, right?
Probably.
But I'm not 8 years old. I'm 65 years old.
Yeah.
And I'm experienced in these matters for a very long time. As a consenting, experienced adult, I get to inhale smoke if I want to.
Yeah.
And if I want to walk into a place that allows that to happen in that place, that's my business. If the government wants to force them to put a sign out front saying, hey, if you walk in here, you might be subjected to some cannabis smoke, I would be okay with that. Okay, they got to tell you what's going on in there for those people who really don't want to inhale cannabis smoke. Mm-hmm. That's great. They're not going to walk into that place if they know that's what's going on
there. Exactly.
And that's how the world should work.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a role to play in the government demanding signage about the potential for there being smoke inside the space.
Yeah.
But to tell you that you can't have a space that has cannabis smoke in it, that you can't have people in that space that are consenting to be there, that are full-grown, experienced adults, that's not part of what government is supposed to be about. That's where it becomes corrupt. That's where they're operating outside of their purview of what they're supposed to be doing with our dime for us. This is not for anybody in telling me that I can't go into a cannabis vapor lounge. That's not protecting me.
No.
That's not protecting anybody like me. They want to put up a sign, say there's vapor in here, there's smoke in here. Fine, because it's not dangerous, but some people don't like it. Some people say they're allergic to it. Some people just don't want it. That's their right. It shouldn't be mandatory that you have to walk into a smoking cannabis lounge.
No,
but it sure shouldn't be mandatory that you can't either. Yeah. And for them to even be asking the question is exposing how corrupt they are and how much they're abusing their power, how much contempt they have for the populace of people here that are cannabis consumers, that are full-grown experienced adults that want to be able to go into a lounge where you can smoke a joint with your friends.
Yeah. Like we've been doing all the time, for years here in BC, in Vancouver. We had so many lounges we used to be able to do that at.
The world would be so much of a better place.
Oh, gosh.
Oh. There's all these little towns. I've traveled extensively across Canada, on these issues. In all these little towns, they got the local bar. The tiniest of little towns, with one little half-block main street, will have a bar.
Yeah.
So the people in the neighborhood can gather around and commune.
Mm-hmm.
It's a wonderful thing. Alcohol is sometimes not as good a thing as it should be. Other times it probably helps the situation. It can be a social benefit. It can be a social deficit.
It's definitely a deficit.
But it can be a social deficit. Alcohol causes problems in these bars sometimes.
Yep.
It causes lots of issues. It causes people to behave in ways that they're not too proud of the next day lots of times.
It causes the sheriff of that little town to wake his ass up because somebody's
to have something to do.
All the night, right? Yeah. Yeah.
Without the bar, without the alcohol in the town, there'd be a lot less for the cops to do there. And I am not advocating for dry towns. Alcohol should be available to full-grown, experienced, consenting adults, just like everything else should be. In a free country of citizens with public servants, everything should be available to experienced, consenting adults. Whatever you want. Labels and warnings. You can buy guns.
Yep.
You can buy poisons. You can buy all kinds of things. Dynamite, pesticides. You can buy very dangerous things. You can buy gasoline. Propane. You know,
All kinds of
although I
shit.
find propane not too dangerous. I've been using it here for quite a while.
Oh yeah.
But you know, the point is, full-grown, experienced, consenting adults, and I say experienced because by the time you're an adult, you got experience. That's the whole point of being an adult.
Yeah.
You get your experience before you're an adult most of the time, enough so that they call you an adult, enough so that they give you access to firearms, alcohol, going to war, driving cars, buying poisons and pesticides and gasoline and all of those things. You get your experience until that point where they say, okay, you're an adult, now you get to do these things. And after that, you get to have access to what you want.
Yeah, you're supposed to.
You're supposed to.
Yeah, here.
But they won't give you access to this stuff.
No, just the tobacco and
Yeah,
alcohol.
now they will. Now the Trudeau cartel decides that they'll give you access if you buy it off of them. And all that went along and goes along with that, including our raid today. So if you're just tuning in late, little different show today. We've been raided by the VPD.
The RV is gone.
The RV is gone. I guess we're going to go outside and show you an image of where the RV was, just to illustrate the point. This is a visual medium that we're on here.
Yeah. And it sounds like there's some people out there still.
Well, there's going to be people out there for a while gathered around. And like I say, we're going to be doing stuff tomorrow to make sure that we can get muffins and joints to people that need them.
Yeah.
John, if you're watching, we're going to need more muffins pretty soon.
Definitely, yeah.
And
I'll send the link to John. But I'm sure he's heard or seen.
Oh, yeah, well, it happened just before the show. It was literally an hour before the show that this happened, which hasn't given me a lot of time to contact people and talk about things. You saw that I had my conversation with the lawyer here on the show.
Right there.
And right here and there.
Yeah.
And, you know, favorable in the respect that now the VPD has given us probably justification for an adjournment on that 30-day time period that we were given by Health Canada to respond to their intent to deny. Mm-hmm. We need an extension on that time. It's already been 2 weeks. I have only 3 affidavits that I've been able to collect so far. I have a bunch of other people that are telling me that they're going to provide them for us. You out there in the viewing world, if you want to put together a statement on our behalf of how you feel about this, what your thoughts are, I'm sure that would all be very helpful. The more volumes of stuff that we have to submit, the better. My email is freedomtour06@hotmail.com. So if you want to send me an email with your statement, that would be awesome. And that's a way that you can help. Every voice matters.
Yep.
And the more, the better. And eventually at some point you reach that final straw that breaks the camel's back that we call critical mass. And we can win the day with it. So please write us a letter of support, and whatever else you can do, complain to the VPD about what they've done. I called 911 and reported theft and attempted murder, and had a long conversation with someone there at the 911 office, and they said that someone would be calling me.
Yeah.
That might happen during the show as well, and we'll take that call and we'll put that VPD officer on there as well, and see what they have to say for themselves. But a very dark day in the history of Vancouver policing. Yep. Another fiasco that is going to come back to bite the VPD. I hope. I know it will. They're going to feel very bad about this. I'm going to make them feel very bad about this. I've got some emails I'm going to be sending internally to the VPD as well, and they should be ashamed of themselves for what they're doing here. Not sure who made the call.
Yeah.
It's a very strange thing after all this time.
Yeah.
We did have an incident earlier today.
Pretty quick, yeah.
But it seemed like a pretty quick turnaround to me. But a person in a suit and a briefcase on their way into the courthouse came and complained after watching a sale take place at the RV, came and complained at the RV about the RV parking there, saying that when they come out the lane, it was blocking their view of the cars coming up the other way, and that we should move it to somewhere else. And I don't know, I wasn't there for that conversation, but it was reported to me that had happened. And about, 3-4 hours later, we're being raided by the VPD and our vehicle is taken away.
Yeah.
So maybe that was a prosecutor.
Yep,
and he may have decided that enough is enough. I don't know.
Yeah.
But this is criminal, what they've done here. And we'll see what the repercussions of it all are. But things have changed for us at the CSP now. I don't know what it's going to result in. I guess you have to wait till next week to find out.
Yeah.
Or you can go to the CSP program Facebook page and find out there. I'm sure we'll be posting some updates about what's happening here. You can contact me or go to Neil Magnuson's page. And Glenn's probably quicker on top of things than anybody I know.
You want to put a link of the page in there?
Yeah, sure. You can
I can do that right now. I can do that right now.
He's become my tech guy, my right tech arm.
Yeah, sometimes.
Well, pretty much. Although, you were trying to help me get that clock back on the face of my phone.
Yeah, I think Neil was trying to do that.
And Neil tried, you tried, George
Well,
tried.
I looked at it for 1
Jen
second.
tried.
Yeah,
Neil
yeah,
tried.
he had it for 1 second.
And Neil didn't try for long. I think he told me to Google something. But there it is.
It worked?
Well, all of a sudden, there it was.
Oh, wow.
All of a sudden, there it was. I have no idea why or how that happened. I'm just going to take it.
All right.
I don't think I touched any buttons I shouldn't have, but I never know.
I got the link.
Okay.
All right. Now.
So I guess I'm not going to send that letter to the conservative health critic. Maybe I have to send a different letter now.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe they'll help us. Maybe they won't. Don Davies is the NDP health critic, and I've been reaching out to him on numerous occasions. I've included Don Davies in almost all the emails that I've been sending out to different people about this issue over the last several months. I've never heard anything back from him. My opinion is that because the NDP are so far in bed with the Liberals at this point and relying on them for the little bit of power that they have as a result, that they don't want to rock the boat.
No.
And that's sad if that's the case.
It is very sad.
But now my focus is going to shift onto how can I contact who and what can we say and what can we get going here. And how to get John what he needs to be able to reply back properly to Health Canada.
Scanning. Wow.
Yeah, well, if it is just as simple as running them through.
Wonder if Staples
maybe that's
would
true.
do something like that.
Staples probably would do something
drop
like
off
that.
the boxes and get an employee every
Maybe.
hour and scan it.
Yeah, maybe, because they do that kind of stuff for you.
I think so. I don't know.
I've spent so many hours in Staples.
Just an idea, right?
Yeah, I've never had them do it for me.
Otherwise, you would have to do it yourself.
I always
and
do it
then
myself.
Yes, that's a lot of paper. If I'm looking at those boxes right there.
No, it's just the clipboard with the stack about yay big.
Oh, okay, it's not so bad.
It's not so bad, but we do have several volumes of binders.
Okay.
That have got because we track all of the patient not purchases, but what they choose, right?
Yeah.
Because nobody pays for it at the CSP, but they get to choose from quite a variety of different things: CBD, THC, different ways of applying and ingesting, and so that we have always tracked that, so that we can tailor to each individual what it is that they might need, and we can know. And as an overall view, we want to know how many people prefer THC over CBD and vice versa. Those other things. How many people prefer the caps to actual edibles, and many other things that we can compare. It's a good data source to be able to determine a whole bunch of things out of. So we have kept on doing that. What I didn't get to explain to John is that once Health Canada did not properly respond to our application, and we ended up having to go before Judge Majawa, who said our hands were unclean and criminal activity, and we had to get. He evicted us in 7 days, gave us 7 days to get out of the store that we'd been operating for 5.5 months. And so,
for 5.5 months, they unclean hands, and you got kicked out of the store.
I know, but I still don't even know where I was going with all that.
Oh, wow. All right. Well, it is good cannabis.
Well, that's it, eh?
That's all I got to say. It is good cannabis.
Either that or 65 years of working hard on senility.
Yes. Yeah. Wow. Even the stuff I was smoking from that pine tar, I guess, Kush, corrected, was
pine tar Kush.
Yeah, it was a really good today. I got that from that THC herbalist.
Right.
Yeah.
And I also see that I got something else here.
Oh yeah. You got some top shelf.
Got some top shelf stuff here. I think these are
I
matches.
love top shelf.
That's not the ones I'm most excited about.
Oh, which ones?
See, I'm not going to quit smoking weed just because the VPD rated us.
What'd you get?
I got a whole bunch of these rolling papers.
Are they the longer ones?
They're the right ones.
Oh, perfect.
They're the
Thank
right
you,
ones.
sir. Thank you. I'll take these to Toronto with me.
Oh, yeah.
So I won't be here next week.
I know, that's right.
Yes,
I gotta
yes.
find another guest.
Oh, thank you very much.
And who knows what we're going to be talking about next week.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be interesting. I will be landed, so I will be able to tune into the show.
So the Prairie Harvest Medicinal Cup is back on this year.
It is? You heard from him?
No, I haven't heard from Jeff.
Okay.
I wasn't going to go. I don't think I could go with what we had going on here because we were in a tenuous situation with what Health Canada was saying to us, with what happened at the Blue Door.
Yeah.
I decided that I couldn't make the trip that Glenn and I were planning in July.
Yeah.
And then now this was happening in September, and I was afraid I was going to have to tell Jeff that I couldn't go. I don't know now.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really don't know. We will see what happens here. Quite disappointed to hear John tell me that in his opinion that we wouldn't be able to get an injunction to be able to continue.
Because of the unclean hands.
Oh my God.
I know.
How crazy is all of this? How can my hands be unclean when for 5 years I have been saving people's lives, never harmed anybody, and did everything above board, always in full sight, always trying to get the right government agencies to understand what we're doing and support us? How can my hands be unclean from that?
No.
And if my hands are unclean, they must be really unclean. And, you know, maybe I'm looking at a long jail sentence here.
Maybe. Right, but no. We can't do that.
You never know.
More people
We're living in a very corrupt world.
Yeah.
I mean, they gave Ted a $6.5 million fine.
Yeah.
And he doesn't get to go to court and plead his case there. If he doesn't pay his fine, he may end up going to jail for that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the jail time would be if you don't pay a $6.5 million fine. But
it depends on what the judge gives you an amount for each day. He could make it $1 million a day. You only have to do 6.5 days.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Yes, but I'm just saying it's always when you pay.
Wouldn't that be nice?
fine,
But that never happens.
Yes. So
I would hope that the government would slap down, or pardon me, the courts would slap down this corrupt government that for some reason thinks it's okay to slap a $6.5 million fine on a medical dispensary that's been saving lives and helping people for 26 years.
Yeah.
Like, I would hope that a judge paid big money to be a good judge of things would be able to judge that as being government corruption, horrible, and give Ted a medal and give him the $6.5 million that they were going to get out of him to keep his program going.
Yeah.
You know, that's if there was real justice. That's if there was judges that weren't corrupt, I guess. I don't know. Are judges corrupt? Why do we keep getting decisions that support a corrupt government?
Yeah.
You know?
It's the law. They don't get to decide if it's corrupt or not.
Puzzling.
It's the law, right?
Puzzling how that happens. That the courts and the media all support the corrupt government that the media owns and that they own the courts. Oh, they're all connected. Look at that. If you look at all of that, you'll see they're all connected.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how the corruption is being able to get to where it is right now. Because the media moguls that own the media also control the corporate agenda, are all about the corporate agenda. They're the ones that are getting their way through the media. I mean, it's just like, holy shit, man.
Crazy.
Like, but you know, what can you do about it? I don't know what to do about it. We talk about it every week on the show. Doesn't seem to do any good.
Yeah.
You know, people sort of know. It's not like the show goes viral every week because it's like, holy smokes, look what this guy said. He's telling us that they're all connected and it's all corrupt. And holy smokes, we don't have to be paying $10 a gram for a shitty gram of weed.
And today they saw proof of the VPD
busting
the van and taking the away and killing people's lives because they won't be able to get their cannabis.
With a crowd of people yelling at them
murderers.
That they're criminals, they're murderers, they're thugs, bullies, a gang, telling them to stop doing what they're doing. All of that going on.
Yeah.
This is what it's come to.
in front of the RV.
Right? Yeah, I decided not to get arrested today.
Yeah.
I mean, I did get arrested. I did get charged.
Yes.
I've got my ticket somewhere. I think I've lost it already.
Released.
Damn.
Oh, it's probably in a pocket somewhere.
I don't know what I did with it.
I know it's blue like that piece of paper over there.
I might have thrown it away.
Oh, you might have.
I don't know what I did with it.
It could be in that room
it's
over there.
somewhere here.
So you're gonna go.
But I was charged.
Yeah. I saw that.
But if I'd have stayed in front of the RV like we were thinking that's what we should do there, to not let them tow it away, then I would have got thrown in jail for the night probably, and I didn't want that to happen. I've got things I have to do, and boy, do I ever now.
Yeah, I think if they started arresting you, then maybe other people would have stood in the way too.
I know.
Right. So
fight for another day, I guess. I wouldn't have won that one.
No.
I could have stood in front of the RV all I wanted. I could have laid in front of it. They would have picked me up, put me in handcuffs, put me in the back of a paddy wagon and taken me away. And anybody else that did that would have got the same treatment until they scare everybody into not doing that. Yeah. And then they take the RV anyway. And then I spend a very miserable, frustrated, uncomfortable night in a cement jail cell with the back that I got. And nothing would be gained by that except maybe a little more sympathy.
Today to fight tomorrow.
Yeah, and now, I've already called some media outlets and told them what's going on here. You gave Global
I gave Global the whole live the thing so they can take.
So I've got a new path, and it'll be number one, making sure that we help the people that we've been helping and that they're not left going to other drug dealers for other things. That's what I have to do. Number one. Number two, I have to do whatever I can do to make sure that we can continue to do this. I don't know what we can get from the VPD. They need to give us our stuff back. They need to bring my RV back. We're not just some individual that decided to do this. I'm a large group of people. We are the Serious Hope Society.
Yeah.
We've got a really good board of people. We've got a good advisory board of people. And we have touched the lives of thousands of people in this neighborhood with what we're doing, with hundreds of lives across Canada. We have other chapters. One part of my regular routine on a show is to talk about what's going on with the other chapters of the CSP. In Halifax, Chris Backer, over 2 years now, going on 2.5 years, supplying cannabis to people there. I'm sure they're a little nervous with what's happened to us today here as well, although the difference is we were selling it here. Although we were told to stop giving it away as well. And as you heard John Conroy say, that if you're going to be giving it away, you can only give away the equivalent of 30 grams at a time, which is not that many milligrams, not 420 milligrams you can give away to people. Mm-hmm. And for us to accept gifts of more than that and then give them out to people, well, no, we're still criminals because of that, and we can't do that. So, they're doing everything they can to stop what we're doing here, and these other programs across Canada must be concerned as well. So if you can support Chris Backer in Halifax with his East Coast CSP there, please let him know that he's got some support there. They're going to need more resources and more donations as well. In London, Ontario, William Hicks. Sorry, William. I was thinking the Higgs Blossom there for a minute. That's a whole other conversation. But William Hicks and his team of people there that took over from Mary McCarthy, he just reported to me that they had a good day there today. They gave out 100 care packs to people, saved 100 lives, today, the people that otherwise would be going to something else and could die. Mary in Winnipeg there, I hope she's doing all right. She managed to get a nice chunk of the donation we got from the FECO Playbook people. That was fabulous. Got a really nice donation from FECO Playbook. I think she was on the live video, so I think she's probably watching what's going on here too. Yeah. And so that, she's got quite a thing going on there with the CSP in Winnipeg, where there's a great need for the service here. There's hundreds of people there that want what she's offering every time. Yeah. And it's going to be really hard for her to keep up with those donations or, with what she needs in the way of donations. So help her out.
So, you're going to go outside?
Probably. I guess it's about that time.
We'll see in a couple of weeks.
I want to make sure I've, my brain is not all where it should be right now.
I'll probably come and see you before we leave.
Are there other things that I was going to talk about here today? We've got Cannabis Day coming up. The Global Marijuana March was a real disappointment in Vancouver. It didn't happen. My heart wasn't in it this year because we lost Bert Easterbrook, and I think that was what last week's show was all about, was the losing of Bert. I'm so torn about that. Dr. Paul Hornby has passed away just yesterday, and we don't know the circumstances behind that yet. But another loss of an amazing, amazing human being who gave so much, educated so many people. One of the greatest men that I had the privilege of calling a friend. And I haven't been able to see him for the last couple of years with the pandemic. And now to hear that this has happened, another tragic loss for our communities as well.
It's sad.
It's very sad.
So many people. All right, I'll see you in 2 weeks.
You're going to go, are you?
I got to go. Well, I got to go use the washroom.
No washroom breaks allowed on the show. You ever seen anybody do that? They do a 2-hour show, they never take a washroom break.
I know.
You got to go before the show. Either that or they got some sort of a machine under the desk that makes it so they don't have to walk away. I'm not sure how they do it. They probably just don't have to go. I know after the show I have to go. Because, I'm not going to go there. Yeah, a definite turning point in the journey of the CSP and the Healing Wave in getting a low barrier access community cannabis store. It's certainly not the end of the road, it's just a turn in the path, and we'll see where this leads us at this point. That fight will not and cannot ever stop until it's successful. The poor people of this planet, the sick people of this planet, they need to be able to have access to good quality cannabis at affordable prices. Plain and simple. That has to happen. I'll fight till I die to get that. One way or another, we're going to have that happen. Not for myself. Although I've certainly been, saying severely inconvenienced is putting it way too mildly. Certainly I think I have grounds for a lawsuit. That in my personal life, needing cannabis as I have, with a doctor's recommendation for cannabis for what is at times a debilitating case of arthritis, that cannabis has been so effective in helping me with over the number of years that I've been dealing with that to not have a low barrier access community cannabis store to be able to access cannabis through properly, well, just to not have reasonable access has been a serious hardship in my life and in the lives of many, many people. I think we have room to sue the government for this, especially with the information we have now about the value of cannabis for so many different things, and the information we have now about how the government has known about these things for a long, long time. That information has been suppressed. Scientific studies that were done and never released because they didn't say what the government, on behalf of their corporate friends, wanted it to say. There has been a serious conspiracy of silence about the lack of criminal activity that is really involved in the growing, selling, or consumption of cannabis. There are no victims in almost all cases. There are only people that are happy to have access, happy to get some money for providing that access. Nobody's a victim, no crime. No victim, no crime. No crime, no criminal penalties. Criminal penalties for things that are not a crime are themselves a crime. And I think there's room to sue the government for this. I think that we should all consider that not too difficult a task of going about putting together an action individually and collectively in numerous different ways and getting our concerns addressed, getting damages for what's happened to us. I've been arrested for cannabis. I've been jailed for cannabis. I've been in handcuffs. I've had cannabis stolen from me. I've been denied cannabis when I really needed it and really could have used it. All of these things I share in common with a lot of other people. And I think it's time that we asked for some damages on that. That we asked for not just an apology, but some reparations. Because enough is enough already. This is enough, isn't it? For them to shut down our program after what we've been demonstrating day after day after day for 5 years, this is a horrible crime. If this doesn't get you upset about the corruption in government, then I don't know what will. Maybe nothing will. Please be upset. Please be upset for us and what's happened here. The lives of hundreds of people are at stake here, and way more than that. Because our fight is not just to be able to have an RV on the streets of downtown Vancouver and provide cannabis to poor people and the visibly addicted. Our goal and what this is all about is having low barrier access cannabis stores available to people that are silently addicted and invisibly addicted, and those that are also visibly addicted in those cities and towns across Canada where there's situations like we have going on here, like in Winnipeg, Montreal, Toronto, Vernon, Kelowna, Kamloops. All of these cities I've mentioned and so many more are struggling with people that are addicted, with homeless people that are suffering, with sick people who would do so much better if they could have access to cannabis. Glenn and I talked a little bit about the need for consumption spaces in towns, in places where people are. That every little town has a consumption space for alcohol, for people to get together, commune with each other, discuss things with each other, plan things with each other, do what human beings do, when they get together in communities. And we need to have places where people can go and sit around and consume cannabis and talk about what's right and wrong in this world. Those would be so valuable, and that's why we don't have them. The government's fine with people sitting around and drinking alcohol and talking about all kinds of things besides what's really right and wrong in the world, because that's kind of what alcohol does. Gets you all focused on stupid little things and, you know, all sorts of other ways it takes your brain that aren't what cannabis does. Cannabis takes your brain to places the government doesn't want. Cannabis takes your brain to wondering whether or not you're being taxed fairly, whether or not laws are reasonable or not, whether or not police are actually working for us or working for corporations. Cannabis makes you think, and that's why the government doesn't want consumption spaces for cannabis. All of these things we should be very concerned about. I know I am. A little view outside, I guess. I don't know, if I need to do a complete update or not before we go out there. I like to do that. I like to do that for people who are just watching the show for the first time and don't really know a lot of the background of what's going on here. I like to do that in a case like today where maybe somebody's joined us a little bit late and they don't understand that today we were raided by the VPD, that the Healing Wave and Cannabis Substitution Program RV has been seized and taken away, that the people that were gaining access to use cannabis in place of the other harsh substances in the neighborhood now have no place to go to get what we've been offering. We were the last bastion of these things here. And this journey of ours has taken a very long, winding road to get to where we are today. That we've been providing cannabis high-dose edibles through the Cannabis Substitution Program for over 5 years. For 3.5 years from the Vancouver Area Network of Drug Users offices right close to Main and Hastings, 200 or 300 care packs of high-dose edibles twice a week for 3.5 years. We got a store because the City of Vancouver passed a motion saying they would support us in providing what we were doing, plus low barrier access. So low-cost cannabis as well as no-cost cannabis. Very important to reach all of those people who will not be part of a program getting no-cost cannabis and say, look at me, I'm a drug addict and I need help. So many of the invisible addicted need to be able to just go to a discreet place, walk in, walk out, get some high-dose edibles, and get themselves off the drugs that they're addicted to. And so we opened a store for 5.5 months. We operated that store, but the city wouldn't license us after all until Health Canada did. We learned that about a month into the store. So we applied to Health Canada for licenses. A very good application, one that we felt was bulletproof, one that we felt would have to be approved and approved quickly because of the profound nature of our application and the profound good that we were doing during this public health emergency. But that didn't happen. And we've been waiting and waiting and waiting. We got evicted from the store because we couldn't get that license from Health Canada. We bought an RV and we've been operating out of the RV for over 1.5 years, parked out front in the same place. And now today, an army of VPD thugs surrounded us, arrested us, charged us, stole all of our stuff, took the RV away, and we're facing charges, which might be good because at least in the courts, maybe we can get some satisfaction. But it is certainly not good for the people that are now going to be denied access to what we've been providing for them here. So that's what's going on. And we'll see where we go from here. I'm sure you'll be wanting to tune in next week to find out because this adventure just got interesting. And we'll see where we go. Let's go outside and show you what's going on out there. I don't know myself. I haven't been out there for the last 1.5 hours or so. 2 hours. There we go. So I guess the first view is over there. That's where the RV was, and that's what we were left with. This is really a shame. They took our signs too. My staff said, can we have our signs? They said, no, it's evidence. Well, I hope so. I hope those signs are evidence of the good that we were doing here. But this is really sad. I'm pretty much speechless. I never saw this coming at all. This was right out of the blue today. A year and a half, you would think we had some sort of squatters' rights. What the hell, eh? What the hell? That's what I'm going to be doing for a while, is yelling at all the VPD and talking to every one of them that I can find, and especially Steve Ray. And, you know, I don't know. Maybe it does some good. I don't know. I have to do it because I can't not do it. But yeah, very, very disgusted with the VPD today. Probably more than I've ever been. I was really disgusted when they shut down Dana's dispensary on Thurlow Street, and the Indigenous dispensary on Broadway. The CSU did that. I was upset with the VPD for even being on site, although they told me after the fact that they were only on site to keep the people that were working there safe. Yeah, right. That's not what they were doing today, I'll tell you. This was not the CSU, this was the VPD, and shame on them for doing that. I don't know what else to say. I guess we'll wrap it up here. Thanks to everybody that's helped us this far. Thanks to everybody that's going to continue to help us in the future. Maybe the battle really just began, and we're going to have to fight hard to be able to help these people now. So we're going to need all the help we can get, and that's a great cause. If you want a good cause to get behind, helping us do what we've been doing here and dealing now with the corrupt authorities is a pretty good cause to be involved in. I don't know what else to say. Thanks to Neil, my producer, for being on top of this and letting this get out there to all you people and to cannabis culture for the platform of the show. To all the people that are donators to the CSP, thank you so much. For all the people that can help those other chapters of the CSP, please do, and thank you for that. And we'll get back to you next week and tell you where we're at and what's changed, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of developments during the course of that week. You know, I'm sorry to have to be the bearer of bad news. I'm sorry to tell you we live in such a corrupt world. I'm sorry that this has happened here. I wish I could say that the government was good and they support us and they're trying to do good to help people, but it seems they're just trying to allow people to die and prevent them from doing what they might do for themselves to otherwise help themselves. So shame on them. Thank you for watching. Have a good week. And despite all this, I'm going to try to do it too. Have as much fun as you can.